spiritual activist, and I'm here today because last night I had a very pivotal moment in my own healing and spiritual journey. And to see the bigger picture of my role, I asked, what did I need to know to move on forward in my journey? And it clicked with a corny joke idea. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to start doing something called Crystal Lynn's Corny Comedy Chronicles. And I'm going to post these funny little corny jokes on my IG reels or whatever. And I'm like, hey, that's a good idea. And I started thinking about how I'm always coming up with these good ideas for people and myself. And I was like, maybe I should be called the idealizer. I know they have like brand marketers, but no one's really saying like, oh, this person is creating ideas for you. And the way I define it as, it's a person who uses their creative juices to pour into others' passions and desires and their spirit. And so with that, I started thinking, and so many ideas started coming. I was like, laughter is healing, singing is healing. I do these things all the time. I do things that aren't typically advertised as healing modalities. And I started thinking, I'm like, I feel like this whole system, this whole world that we are surrounded and engulfed in is a world that is not designed for our spirits. It's not designed for our soul, for our hearts, for our minds. And that's why we're so down, because we're surrounded by so much perceived darkness, because it's something that's not feeding our souls. It's not feeding our spirits. And I feel like as Black people, we have literally and figuratively brought color to the world. We are creative beings, and we have been looking and seeking healing in all the wrong places. Yes, the mind is a factor and an issue if you let it by staying in the back seat of your life. But if you release and uplift your spirit by following your heart's desires, then you automatically quiet the mind long enough to hear your inner voice and heal one and the same. Once you start to hear that voice, it speaks to you and you know exactly what you need to do. But I started thinking about basically how I've always wanted to be a psychologist. And I started asking myself the why. It's because I wanted to heal people. And in the beginning of my spiritual journey, I let go of this why. Always keep this in mind, because the why is going to lead you to the root, which leads you to the solution, as I coin it. Once I let go of my rigidity and this notion and attachment to my ego's idea of what success was, my ego's idea of you have to be this Dr. Fontenot, the psychologist, my purpose, the why, found its modality and passion. The linking of the purpose and the passion, that was it for me. That's what struck the nerve. I started thinking about pages that I follow and, all of these videos that people post of Black people doing different things. And I realized we have been made separate and different. And in turn, we have evolved through survival and through natural instincts with different modalities and realities, and come from roots of multifaceted creativity, which is honestly God's grace to us. Our gifts, hobbies, talents, the things we love to do and that bring us true joy and bliss is what we have to start following to free our soul and to uplift our spirits. By doing this, we automatically venerate and honor our ancestor spirits as well. When you ask yourself, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? If you didn't fear what your partner, parents, family, friends, society, police, whatever, etc., if you didn't fear what they would do, say, or how they would react, once you get that answer, once you ask yourself that question, write it down, sit with yourself, meditate, contemplate. These desires are the ones that are going to spark and ignite the car, the soul, and get you going on your journey more efficiently. I will post a picture of this on my IG at the.spiritual.activist if you would like to take a look at that. But basically on my platforms, I want to create a platform that is all about healing, venerating, and honoring the ancestral spirit by uplifting ours by living their wildest dreams and our wildest dreams. Let's not let their struggles, oppression, abuse, trauma, and so on go in vain. So I'll be having, regular everyday people and other social platforms to empower and promote Black-owned businesses and activities and interests and other healing practices that may not be perceived as healing, but these are things that make us feel good and empower us and feed our soul, allowing them to lean on my platform to break out and have the courage. Think of it, the word encouragement. Courage is in the middle of that. As well as me stepping up in myself to share my journey with you all, giving you ideas to try. It's all about, how does it make you feel? How does it make you feel? As Black people, we are guided by how things make us feel. That's why we need meaning. And I'm here as a channel and a vessel of God, leading you to mental liberation and spiritual exploration. The feeling is our fuel. The feeling is our fuel. In every aspect of life, society keeps us down by keeping us in this idea that this boring, mundane crap is how you get to happiness, success, fulfillment, when that's an illusion and entanglement and spiritual slavery. Ultimately, break the chains and free yourself. Baby, make them mad. I want to prescribe you a natural alternative to feel good and lift your spirits that has no side effects. Why do you think drugs and addiction are such an issue in the Black community? Think about it. Alcohol is called spirits. It's somewhat like an artificial way and an artificial spirit that carries negativity with it. We are constantly needing that spiritual stimulation. And how do you get it? By following your healed and open heart. This will give you what you need, that natural high off life feeling, and have you truly in control and in full potential and in power. You will start to be in the driver's seat of your life. So are you with me? Join me to spiritual liberation. And let's free our people. It's time to level the playing field. Love you guys. Peace, love, and light. As always, someone who cares, the spiritual activist, out. Grand rising, all of my solution seekers. I want to talk this. I don't know how long this episode's going to be because I have a little bit of information. I'm going to try to do it as organized as I can, but y'all know I'm very freestyle. I just kind of, as I feel something, as I'm moved, I kind of just make videos based on that. And I'm trying to get more and more organized with how I do content, but it's a process, so I'm learning. But I'll go into what motivated this this episode. So bear with me while I find my note. And the first part of this is going to be recorded. So, I'm sorry, not recorded, but I'm going to be reading it from something that I wrote in a diary entry. So I'm giving y'all sneak peek to some of the things that I write in my diary as I'm reflecting on life and stuff like that. So here goes. After deleting I'm just going to say, very popular social platform, and getting out of the brain fog of this virtual reality, I realized that we don't need all the things that are being marketed for spirituality. I realized I was making common mistakes because I was lying to myself about what I wanted and why I wanted it. We all want a better future and to know our purpose and to find ourselves, but at what cost? Do we know if we'll ever get there at the end of this journey like these teachers and readers keep promising us? The manipulation of our vulnerability and vacant esteem is a true testament to this capitalistic and consumeristic society. I don't know if I just made those words up. The majority doesn't put holistic wellness above a buck. So I ask you, what are you willing to pay for a distant dream? They selling wolf tickets, or at least I never really saw any real reward. I was in this dark limbo of feeling these highs and these extreme lows. I was in a fantasy out of connection with reality. At this point, I don't know what I believe totally. So I had to go back to my roots and reestablish my foundation again. The only thing I know is that the foundation of spirituality needs no modality or healing method. We just jump and binge these practices because the information and technology age, along with the ego's need to know everything, has made us impatient and unrealistic about what they mean when they say it's a journey, not a destination. This is not a game, and you will get got trying to make it one. At the end of the day, we all we want is success, mental wellness, unconditional love, and confidence, being our authentic selves. And I feel this journey is ultimately about finding what that may look like for you and knowing that you always have options. When you alter your rigid beliefs, knowing it's really just a bunch of thoughts, and a thought can be changed, then you wake up to the idea that everything has flexibility and it's not so black and white. It's not an end all be all. You always have a choice. Life is about this balance of scales in all aspects of life, in diet, fitness, family, career, mental processes, emotions, and ultimately it's all spiritual. Being yourself. This is the age of DIY for me, because honestly, everyone is not in integrity, unfortunately. And it's the ability to discern when you are unfamiliar with what's your intuition and what's your fears, distrust and paranoia. And honestly, I don't know what my intuition is, and I'm done pretending like I do, because the spiritual movement says, oh, you should know, you'll know those voice and that voice. No one's teaching you how to understand your intuition. No one's teaching you how to sit with your spirit to understand this. So it's like we're in the dark. So better safe than sorry. Even the ones posing as advocates of the community can be compromised. The wolf can be in many clothings, not just sheep, but cow, chicken, duck, etc. I'm saying this to say that there is a demand to control people of all walks of life. So there's a demand for influencers of all walks of life. Don't be fooled by what you think is resonating with your soul, when really it's your superficiality, or just like what you see with your eyes appealing to you. You know, basically that influencer or that intuitive reader or that teacher, you like the way they look, you like the way they act. So you thinking you get everything they're saying is resonating with you, when really it's just you liking them and who they are is really what's taking over on you. These influencers that you think is resonating with your soul, their lives may be staged to appeal to you. What your eyes see is not always reality or true. I was in a total mind FUCK this last year. Yes, I had issues in my life, as we all do, but I was going about them unrealistically and uncontrollably. For me, I have to stop buying. I stopped buying pre-made products like, these womb healing things, these oils, these candles, these all these things, to say, not because I'm paranoid, but just being mindful that you don't know what intentions were put behind them. Stop invoking these spirits. Stop doing magic. Stop doing altar work if you really don't know what you're doing. I've been researching because I've been in the field. I've been exposing myself to it, and it gets real. And no one is really teaching. They're keeping you in the dark, yet pushing you to walk. Those are huge red flags and should be considered when embarking on your spiritual journey, seeking answers from outside sources. The manipulation for financial gain is real. Surrendering your free will? Keep God and your family as your number one priority, because in these streets it gets ruthless and ugly, and that's really all we have. This is my personal experience and what I've learned along the way for me. Don't overconsume a personal spiritual beliefs because you're trying to ascend in a week, get money or whatever, but saying this is for a holy reason. Get real with your intentions. When you don't have pure, honest intentions, you'll get burned. I'm telling you. I've encountered so much in this past week be mindful of the subliminal messages designed to F with your psyche. And P.S., everything may be a sign, but don't fuel your anxiety, overthinking, obsessive thoughts, and egos need to know everything by thinking this quote unquote spirit is talking to you every second. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I don't know all that. But what I do know is all it did for me was fuel my compulsive mind. And for a person who has like a very overactive mind like me, I'm warning you, don't get sucked into all the synchronicities, waiting for 11:11, waiting for this sign, waiting for this bird to land on you. All this stuff is just going to cloud your mind when you're trying to get peace of mind. Your intentions and beliefs and thoughts create the reality. You believe it, it will seem that way. The validity is still up for debate, but not by me. I know that I have more peace now that I've released that need to know everything and have all the signs and have all the knowing on this journey. I have faith in God. That's all I really need. What sparked my spiritual awakening was a combination of a midlife crisis, losing myself in motherhood, maternal burnout, being laid off, and figuring out what my purpose was, and not necessarily finding myself. I have my own take on that, but being confident in just showing myself to the world, my authentic self. I was used as a pawn, I feel, preyed upon in the grand scheme of things. This spiritual movement trend has made spirituality an unsafe space for newcomers. It's a lot of people stuck in shadow world because people are opening up the way and not guiding them right because they're using them to serve their own personal gain, whether financially, energetically, spiritually, whatever. And honestly, I feel like Black people, Black families, our culture is under an attack. And this is not to invoke some kind of fear, but it's like just being mindful that stop letting people define you. When I say under attack, I just mean like psychologically you can get manipulated. Spiritually, you can get further oppressed, which is counterproductive of what you're trying to do by going through the healing journey. We've labeled everything. And so with all these labels and diagnoses, you lose the true root of it. Like it may be called spiritual awakening, but in that you lose the sight of what is the real problem, what sparked it. We're so focused on going on a spiritual journey that we don't realize what sparked the spiritual journey is usually what you need to focus on. That's the real problem. That's the real issue that you need to work on. Me having maternal burnout, me having a midlife crisis, and me not communicating how I felt because I was so fearful of reactions from, my partner, my family, my friends, instead of just releasing those fears and just keeping it real. At the end of the day, it's all about these honest, open conversations and being vulnerable to, how you feel and what you're going through. And believe it or not, when you start opening up, watch what I tell you. Everybody else is going to feel comfortable to open up too. I'm dismantling the guilt and shame and embarrassment around mental health, emotional instability, spiritual dependency, all of these things that we go through, that we label, it gets lost in the sauce. But I think I'm going to end this little segment and I'm going to create another video based on some more specific ways that I feel like people, like it's kind of like common mistakes that people make when they embark on a spiritual journey. So I'm going to end this one, guys. And then, I'll have another segment attached to this episode and label it common mistakes. But this one is more like spiritual manipulation and how I feel like this is the DIY age. We need to start making our own. I know we want to be lazy, but if you're going to buy pre-made stuff to help you along the way in your spiritual journey, at least pray over it and, release any intentions that you did not sign up for. If you know why you're buying it and what you're looking for to get out of something, pray over it and ask that only what you are asking for is received and everything else is not. Ask God to continue to watch over everything in your home, stay prayed up. But me, I'm going to start buying my own stuff, my own yoni steams. I'm going to buy my own herbs for this, for that, buying these pre-rolls with herbs in them. You don't know what intentions have been over these herbs. You don't really know what's into anything. And this is not to invoke skepticism, paranoia, or anything. It's just being real. Like, yes, we want to wish and believe that everybody has good intentions, but they don't. And people are getting sucked into realities and that are of evil intentions, that are of personal gain, or like, we don't know what intentions people have. And when you're led by money and the almighty dollar, it's good to have money. Yes, I'm not saying nothing against it, but sometimes money can cloud people's intentions, and it can make them sell out. Like, don't lose sight of God in anything, and don't get sucked into the consumerism and the capitalistic society that we have. And please do not go looking for spiritual guidance on social media, because I'm telling you right now, it's very, very compromised. Technology is so manipulative. They have technology where they can make recordings. You can take people's faces and create a video and make it seem like it's coming from that person, but really the message is coming from someone else. But you see the person who you think it's coming from, but it's not that person. Technology has so many manipulative ways, so it's like being mindful of all these things. It's not about fear. It's just about, like, what I always say, one of my mottos: stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. Awareness is the healing. And I'm going to get into that in my next video. But, as always, guys, someone who cares, the spiritual activist. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving. Keep God first. Love you guys. Peace out. Rise and shine your light and opulence, my solution seekers. So this is a continuation of the video that you probably watched previously to this one, but this one kind of gets a little bit and more specifically into some of the ways that some of the common mistakes that I feel like a lot of people, including myself, have made on their spiritual journey. So some of the common mistakes I feel that people make and that I made was, when your mind opens up and you have the power to make the shift, that's powerful. So with that, you definitely need to be mindful of what you allow in there, because that will create your reality. If you think about your life as being a butterfly and you go into this cocoon phase, whatever that caterpillar ate before he got into that crystallized cocoon phase, when they emerge as a butterfly, all of what they consumed will be represented in who they are and their reality. So that's why it's like, when you think of it that way, you have to be very careful, or at least strong enough to know how to dismantle or dispel things that you feel like are not serving you, that make you feel worse than you already did before you started the journey. So here it goes. One of the first ones is, don't get spiritually dependent. Don't get sucked into consumerism, getting lost in the sauce. I know we have this need to find a teacher, to find a healer, to find someone to give us the answers. But it's like, take everything with a grain of salt, because there's rarely facts. These people are just kind of sharing what they've learned along the way for them. So you have to understand and take into account their perspective, take into account their history, take into account their experiences, because God speaks to us individually. So yeah, there is this supposedly collective mind, but it's like our personalized experience creates the thoughts and the revelations that we get on our own. So you taking the person's word as an end all be all, this is the fact, can alter your own and steer you away from your own path. It's not to say that you can't listen and get information from other people, but don't get so dependent on a person or outside source for answers for your life. No one can give you the answers but you. Everything you need is within you. Next, avoid feelings of shame and guilt for where you're at. We live in a culture that wants to create this hierarchy, or like, this is Eurocentric standards. This is evolved person. This is an unevolved person. This person wears their pants down, sagging, so they're less than you. This person wears their hair in braids or afro, so they're not better than you. Like all of these superficial things that create this idea of better than, worse than, unevolved, evolved. So it's like we do a lot of things. We feel guilty for where we're at. Oh, I'm smoking weed right now, or I kind of emotionally eat right now. I binge eat ice cream when I'm feeling stressed. Okay, that's where you're at. But when you attach shame and guilt to it, you're fighting it, you're resisting it, and you're not going to get true healing and self-acceptance with that attachment of guilt and shame. Release that, because know that everyone has some form of addiction, some form of coping mechanism. No one's perfect. No one's gonna have it all figured out. Even the biggest of gurus and spiritual teachers will tell you that they don't have it figured out. Stay curious, stay childlike, stay a student of life, and release that guilt and shame. Guilt and shame is roadblocks. They literally block you from your blessings. God knew what you was going to go through. You don't have to feel bad about it. You're going through it so you can grow through it. Next, don't try to be like what you think is spiritual. That kind of goes with the guilt and shame. Be you. You know, like we feel that we have to be a certain way to be better or to be accepted, or, you know, this fear of rejection, this fear of ridicule, shunning, you know, alters our authenticity. We lose that. We start losing ourselves again in the spiritual journey, especially this new trending spirituality. It's like, it's becoming almost like restrictive. It's taking the pure essence of what spirituality is, which is about personal power, autonomy, you know, being true to you, who you are, not trying to be something to fit in, or, you know what I mean? So be mindful of that when you're embarking on your journey. Don't try to be like what you think is spiritual. There is no there is no image. There is no way to be spiritual. There is no, you're only spiritual if you look like what we see as gurus, or what you think is a guru, or what you think is a holy person. You can be the hoodest, thug, whatever, and be spiritual. Spirituality in the core, I'll get into it in my next thing. But, you know, like I said, just be you, and just hold on to the fact that, you know, you do good things in the world. You have a moral compass, and you're just trying to spread positivity. And that's all it is to it. Don't binge information. That's the ego's need to know everything, and you're just unprogramming just to reprogram it with more stuff, with more people's opinions and perspectives. It's more false conditioning, making people feel the magical and kind of creating this false idea of self again, like this, what they call the God complex, like where you just think you're high and mighty above everybody else with no validity. Like, yes, we are worthy, we are born worthy, but there's no hierarchy, there's no better than or worse than someone else. If you feel like you have to feel better than someone else to gain esteem or worth or confidence, then that's the issue right there that needs to be solved or worked on. You know what I'm saying? Don't get lost in this fantasy world. That's not realistic. Stay present. That you can get lost in that loop as well. The magic is the power of the mind. The faith and belief is the power. Perspective, foundation of family, community, self-love, unconditional love is the power. Don't overcomplicate it. Focus on the foundational things of spirituality, not all this extra stuff of people's opinions and people's revelations and personal opinion and theories and all this other extra stuff. Stick to the basics, the foundation. That's the magic. Next, don't stop doing the things that make you happy unless it's hurting you or someone else. Balance. This worldly stuff is here to make the journey a little easier. You know what I'm saying? It's a balance. Okay, yeah, you like eating your soul food or whatever. Eat your soul food. Go out and eat. You're a foodie. That's a passion for you. That keeps you going. But then, eat some drink some smoothies, eat some salads the next day, work out the next day. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you like to listen to your trap music and your hood music. If that's motivating you and not putting you in some pity party, woe is me, victim mentality, do it. If that's getting you crunk and getting you in your spirits in a good mood, why? Why stop? Because somebody said it's wrong? If it's not altering your state of mind and who you are and making you into this wannabe criminal or a violent person, then why are you stopping it because someone else says that that's what it does for them? Everything is personable. Everything is relative. That's what I'm saying. There's no should, shouldn't, right and wrong. It's what works for you. Because like I can just say me and my boo thing. So I don't like listening to certain music all the time. Or I don't like watching scary movies. He loves scary movies. You know what I'm saying? And we respect that difference within each other because my mind is very sensitive. I'm very sensitive to certain things, whereas he's not. And it doesn't change his heart. It doesn't change the way his being. And so that respect for each other that's how you cultivate that unconditional love. That's how you cultivate the stability of family and friends. Not that we have to have everything in common. Commonality is an illusion that people feel like they have to create strong relationships or bonds. No, it's the acceptance. The acceptance is the true foundation of the bond. But yeah. So it's just about balance. Do you? It may seem superficial to some people, but get your nails done, get your lace wig, get your edges laid, go get your face made up. These are things. Black therapy for black people may look different from other people. What's therapeutic for us may not be therapeutic for y'all. We on Sundays, we all know we turn on that music and we get to cleaning and it's cleanup day. Like the things that have established our culture, why are we changing them when they have gotten us this far? It's not about changing who we are and canceling the whole culture. It's about establishing additional things. It's just about learning and adding tweaks here and there. It's not about canceling and throwing away the whole culture because this culture that we have adapted to has helped us along the way. That's our grace. Being able to watch TV shows and laugh and sit around in the living room and all laugh and stuff, no matter what we're going through, that moment, we may not be talking to each other or having conversations, but we in a energy of love and joy and bliss. We may be having pillow fights and making funny, weird noises and doing dumb, stupid stuff. But guess what? That dumb, stupid stuff that people think is really bringing us closer together. It's fun. It's what's keeping our spirits elevated. This is why we've persevered through all of the oppression that we've been through. Don't let people come and strip that from you. Next, be your own therapist, guru, teacher. Yes, it's fine to get information and feedback from other people like myself, but don't follow me if you feel like I'm bringing your spirit down. I'm telling you, because I'm not doing this to bring anyone down. My podcasts and episodes is all about uplifting and making you feel proud of who you are, but knowing and staying open to the fact that you can always adapt and change and further improve things within your life. But not from a judgmental perspective. My perspective is never judgmental of my people or anybody in general, because I know what it feels like to have that fear. I know what it feels like to feel judged. But the shift comes when we start to totally accept our culture, our community in all its multifacetedness, knowing that there's no one way to be black, knowing that your black card can't get taken. Come on, man. But whatever. Next, don't turn your back on family or true love. For this is the tribe that people are promising that you're going to ascend to meet. Once you get to this level, you'll find your tribe. No, your tribe has always been there. It's all about reframing your mindset and your perspective to see the beauty in these people. Despite what you may think is dysfunctions or negativity, think about the true core of it. Like I said, if some pop off and you could have just got into it with your family, guess what? Your family finna ride or die for you. They finna take your back because they love you and they support you. My family is what helped me through my dark times, and I will never give up on them no matter what I feel like we need to work on. Black people don't give up on each other. That's one thing we don't do. Don't let people who don't know what has worked for us to come and tell us what's working and what's not working. Stop letting people who ain't never been sick prescribe you medicine. This divine partner that you keep getting promised that, oh, just leave your family. Just leave, girl. Catch that flight and go. That divine partner been there all along. It's just about you putting your pride and your ego aside to see and have those open, honest conversations and release that fear of what's going to happen when I'm honest. Okay, what's going to happen when you leave? You know in your heart that that's the person you want to be with, but your ego is telling you that's not the right partner. They're not spiritual enough. They're not this enough. What's spiritual? Why they not spiritual enough? Why they not good enough? Who telling you this? Somebody who don't live your life? Somebody who probably bitter and single? You better wake up. This go for men and women. As these spirits wake up in the collective, as these energies wake up in the collective, people are going to be trying to manipulate your spirit and make you run from and do some things that you haven't thought through because you're in this fantasy world trying to ascend in a week. I'm speaking from personal perspective. People have agendas, y'all. People don't have good intentions all the time. Not everyone is in integrity. Remember that unfortunate fact. Next, don't try to work on everything at once. Yeah, you can make a list of all the things, but gradually say, okay, I feel like I want peace and I want to work on my anxiety. And with that, I want to focus on my impatience. Because really, that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from for me. So it's like, okay, let me focus on my impatience. And when I tell you, your child is enough. You don't need no other help. For all my parents, you should know what I'm talking about. Just staying focused on one thing, because when you start putting things out there, the universe, if you believe in that, it's going to make you work on all that stuff at one time. And that's going to be the mind F of the century. You're going to really be going crazy. You're going through enough as it is. You're trying to do stuff and trying to change your life and transform your life. You don't want to overload it with healing. Plus, that's not what life is about. Life is not about spending your majority of life feeling like you got to heal everything. The healing is really just the awareness and the sharing of and the venting and the relation to just know that we all are going through something. We all are working it to better ourselves. That self-acceptance. That's really the healing. Looking for answers outside of yourself constantly. That's a big one. That was me. People are flawed. And it's not that they're flawed, but it's just that it's their perspective. Like, this is my perspective. I try to keep it as general as I can and constantly giving a disclaimer, but it's still my perspective. This is what I feel like has worked for me. The ego's obsession to know is detrimental to the psyche, and it's counterproductive. It defeats the purpose of reprogramming at all. Like, you're trying to reprogram your subconscious and release all these conditionings and programming, but then you're filling it with more information. Remember the cocoon? You don't want to fill it with all this stuff that may not even serve you in your life, that may not even benefit you, that may not be realistic to your life and the life that you want. It's not about changing your life necessarily. It's about changing your perspective. That's what the power is, being more positively centered, practicing positivity. And the next one is thinking you're above those who are unenlightened, or what you may think sleep. It's prejudice. Honestly, it's an illusion that feeds egocentric traits. You feel like you better than these people because they life, you're judging their life. You don't know, they could be at peace. Release the judgment. You're blocking blessings. You're missing messages by judging this person and thinking that they don't got nothing good to say or nothing godly or spiritual or some gems to drop. You lose sight of the beauty and diversity. You losing it. You missing out on stuff by judging these people. Don't judge a book by its cover. It's not always right. It's really all about incorporation of positivity in your life and spreading it. in the world. That's my basic take on it. I'm going to pause this for a second and I'm going to get back to it, guys. But yeah, so my next one is being attached to spiritual practices. For example, like guided meditations or yoga or whatever. Relying on rituals to feel better about ourselves can create attachments that fuel it fuels honestly more low self-esteem, because you may feel like a failure if you don't keep up with these rituals, or you fall off, or you feel lazy, you don't want to do them. Honestly, for me, it fueled all of it, like feelings of failure, low self-esteem, self-doubt, that imposter syndrome, more anxiety, fears. I'm like, I must not be good enough because I'm not sticking to this, or I'm not being spiritual enough. Whenever you start having those types of feelings, like, it's time to just take a step back. You have to ask yourself, are you doing these out of self-love or fear of not doing it? Observe whether it's a mode of self-care or to check it off your list, or to feel like, I accomplished this, getting a better sense of self-worth. Remember, you are born worthy. I know what we've been told. I know how we've been programmed to feel, but you are born worthy. If you are a child of God, you are personification of love and light. You are worthy. You are worthy. You have to keep telling yourself that. Do affirmations every morning. Stay to the basics. It's not that serious. Keep living your life the way you live in it, but just incorporate small things here and there, the things that actually, make a difference. You don't have to do everything on, and that goes back to that binging, doing every type of modality, every type of spiritual practice, feeling like this will get you there quicker. No, it's not. The only thing it's going to get you to is more anxiety and more overthinking. The key is to incorporate healthy spiritual practices by motive of enhancing your well-being, not for a sense of worth or accomplishment. Like I always say, it's all sprinkles on a cake. It's nice, but it's not necessary. I'm not even giving it the icing. It's not even the icing, it's the sprinkles. Like, you really can take it or leave it. This spiritual movement is playing on people's insecurities and baking our low self-esteem. Y'all got to be mindful of that. Another one, doing things just to feel significant or important. Like I said, don't do it for an expectation to receive something in return. Just know God sees your good deeds, and you'll receive that energy in return. Don't always expect it from that person or from that thing. Now, if you really feel like this person is just kind of like manipulating or using you, and you can't see the beauty in what they do, then you got to do the necessary to make the necessary adjustments and keep it moving. If you feel like you got to establish boundaries with that person, then do it. But that's why you're getting angry, because you're not really doing it for them. You're doing it for yourself with some kind of expectation. But I do understand the frustration, because when you're like a very nice person and you're just always doing things for people, sometimes it does get frustrating when you feel like you're not getting things in return. But the thing is, you have to reframe and say, you're not getting what you want, but that doesn't mean you're not getting blessings. You have to open your eyes and reframe your mindset to see that you are constantly being blessed, and start realizing that you may not get it from them, but God sees your good deeds. That's why I say, you may say you're being a people pleaser, but people pleasing, I don't feel like it's all wrong, because it's how you define people pleasing. I just look at it as like, I like to be sweet and nice to people. That's my character. But it doesn't mean I can't establish boundaries, or I won't pop off if somebody come at me wrong. Simple as that. Ultimately, I'm a sweet, nice person, but don't take my kindness for weakness. And that's just that. Well, how they say, that's that on that, whatever. But yeah, like I said, just make the necessary adjustments to stay balanced and at peace, and keep it pushing. I've been guilty of these false intentions, trying to get something in return, or to rack up good karma. This can be survival tactics that we, I kind of call it like that scavenger mentality. You just kind of using people for this and for that, or manipulating them to get what you want because you scared to just ask them. So you do it in like these, off-putting ways. Hey, I'm gonna let you do this for me, or if you want to, can you do this? Yada yada yada. All these things, because for me it's like a fear of rejection. You leaving a person no option but to say yes, or pressure to feel like they got to say yes. These have become like, to me, like survival or scavenger type tactics. But just being aware of that without judgment and just do better. It's no shame. That's why it's a journey. But in knowing that not everybody thinks the way you think or does things the way you think, so don't think that they're being manipulative or whatever, or using you because that's how you work or how you move. That's also part of the perspective, is knowing how to see other people's perspective and knowing that there are multiple ways to be and multiple ways to think, and not your way of thinking is the only way of thinking. The insincerity will shift as you do what you can and not spreading yourself so thin to appease others. And one of the big ones, the next one I have is one of the big ones. Thinking spirituality is a destination, not a journey. This lifelong, ever-changing journey to transform and heal and be yourself, ultimately at peace, is not to be binged. Be realistic. Life still happens. You're still gonna get road rage or sad or angry, etc. Meet negative or mean people, whatever. It's not about suppressing the dark side of life, but raising consciousness, mindfulness, awareness of self. The only thing you can change to make more conscious choices and responses instead of reacting to life from triggers, traumas, wounds, whatever. When you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Awareness is the healing. Realizing, accepting that you always have options and don't have to think so black and white, which is the true peace of mind, the true spiritual liberation you have been seeking all along. So remember, guys, you have options, you have choices. Start talking, start having these conversations with your family, with your community, with your people. Connect, turn that pain into power. And as always, keep pushing and keep God first. As always, someone who cares, a spiritual activist, peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving. I love you guys. Peace out.